Okay. So a very good evening to one and all. I am Matali, and today I'll be moving ahead with the theory session for AI agents and automations. Uh, can you people just confirm that whether am I audible? You can just react or put it in the chat. Okay. We'll be starting. If anyone is missing among your friends, do inform them to join as early as possible. And let me share. You all are able to see the presentation. Okay. So I'll be starting, but before that, I need you all to react. If I'll be asking some of the questions, so if you want to unmute, please do raise your hands. That would be best. Otherwise, you can put the messages in chat for whatever questions I'm asking. You can answer them in chat, and please do respond, so even I'll get to know that whether you're able to understand or not, right? So we'll start with day five, that is AI agents and n8n automations. So we'll go with very basic, okay? Even if you're not having much more idea about what AI agents are or n8n automations are, we'll still get it done. So no issues. So my first question would be like, how many of you make use of ChatGPT? Just respond, like, just give me a reaction, or you can raise your hands as well. We all do, right? So, thoda interactive. Okay. Almost all of us use ChatGPT, right? So, imagine a situation where, let's say, you're supposed to, submit some assignments, and since you were sick, you were not able to, submit it on time. So you're asking your teacher for a deadline extension, right? And you need to send an email for that. So can ChatGPT on behalf of you send that email? You can put it in chat if you feel like yes or no, right? Uh, you can put it in chat. Like you just say that you need to send the email on my behalf. So will ChatGPT will able to? Anyone who wants to unmute and speak, you can raise your hands. Okay, so in chat I have maybe or maybe not. Okay, it can create one for sure. Yes, see, it can create a message, no doubt about it. But are you are you able to hear echo in my voice? Okay, permissions would be required. Not really. Like even if I give permissions, will it be able to? So okay, the answer to this is ChatGPT cannot, send your emails because ChatGPT is just an AI application which can generate the answers for you, but not perform the task on the behalf of you, right? So you can see this flow diagram wherein you have, so this is for attendance. So we took an example for email, fine. So ChatGPT will think that whether, what kind of email needs to be crafted. but it cannot send it on behalf of you because it is just to generate the responses and not to perform the task. That's the exact difference between, what are chatbots doing nowadays and what are agents doing, right? So just a deep dive into the history of how exactly this AI came into picture. So earlier computers used to only follow instructions, right? We used to only write codes, line of codes, and based on that, the computer used to perform those instructions. Then we entered into the era of artificial intelligence when you stimulated the human intelligence into the machines and you were actually forcing the machines to think like a human and generate a response for you. And tomorrow's AI, that is the AI which is on go to now, is actually into performing the task. You need to just describe the task and it will perform the entire task on your behalf. And this is how, the world or the tech is actually evolving from your chatbots to performing tasks. So I hope this is clear with you. So we can actually understand it with an example also. So see, what ChatGPT is very good at. It is good at answering your questions, writing the content, generating codes, and etc. Right? But what makes ChatGPT so much intelligent? Is anyone or can anyone rather answer this as well? I hope you all understood the question, by the way, right? Do put it in chats if you don't want to talk. That makes it intelligent, like all you're talking about all the information that gets on the web. You all understood the question, right? What am I asking? That if ChatGPT can generate the responses, then what makes it so much intelligent to generate those responses, right? So the answer to this is your LLMs. Those are the brains behind your AI chatbots who actually think, right? So, you know, just a formal definition, what is an LLM? It is a large language model and it is an AI which is trained on massive amount of text to understand and generate the human language, right? So it can only generate the answers for you. It cannot perform the tasks on your behalf. Like we saw the example of, sending an email, right? So I can ask ChatGPT to only craft an email for me so that I can send it, but I cannot expect the ChatGPT to send it on my behalf, right? Because it is an AI application which uses LLM as one of its brain. I hope it is clear. You are able to understand, right? Uh, I'm not able to see your. If you're able to understand, at least put a message so I can understand. It's not going heavy. Are you like not able to understand anything or something like that? Understood, right? Okay. So, can anyone tell me that what is exactly ChatGPT? I'm going with ChatGPT just because you all will be very familiar with it. Nothing personal as such. So, like, is ChatGPT an AI application or it is an LLM? You can just drop down your answers. So, the more you'll be interactive, you'll be able to understand. Okay, I got two answers. It's an application or it's an LLM. Decide. Let's. Okay, raise your hand. How many of you say that it's an application? Okay. Rest all are for LLMs. I think we have 40 students, near to 40 students. Okay, can anyone justify why it's an application? You can put down in chat, or if you want to speak, you can raise your hands and unmute yourself. Okay, it's an application. Fine. Because ChatGPT has a data set provided. Mm, okay. Okay. I'll explain to you. In ChatGPT, what do you mean by GPT? Like, what's the full form of GPT if anyone can drop it down? Be quick so we can just move ahead. If you know, put it. Okay. I'll go through it. No issues. Okay. So, your chat GPT is an AI application. So those who said it is an app, you are absolutely correct. It is an AI application, the one which actually, performs all these tasks inside chat GPT is your LLM. And the LLM is named as GPT. That is your generative pre-trained transformer. So the main intelligence that your ChatGPT gets is due to these LLMs, that is your large language models, right? So ChatGPT is just an AI application which provides an interface for you to interact, but the main person or the main brain who is giving you the answer is nothing but LLM, and the name of that LLM is GPT. So the GPT inside ChatGPT is nothing but the name of the LLM that ChatGPT is using, right? So that is the part. So now next time if anyone asks you, is ChatGPT an LLM? No, it's not an LLM. It is an AI app which uses GPT as its large language model, right? So this is a simple analogy that you can understand, that you can go through in order to understand the concept of LLMs much better. you know, like in cars, a very simple everyday analogy that we have a car, right? So your car is nothing but your chat GPT, which is nothing but your AI applications. But the main thing because of which the car is working is its engine, right? So your LLMs are nothing but those engines which drive that particular car. So, this is the main concept of large language models, right? So they act as the main brains behind your AI chatbots that we see today. I hope it's clear. If it is, you can just react. You keep on reacting if you're able to understand it, okay? Okay. Moving ahead, uh, what LLMs can actually do and what they are not able to do. So when I be referring to LLMs, just to have a simpler understanding, you can refer to GPT, right? Like not Chat GPT again, make this difference very clear. Chat GPT is an AI application and the GPT inside it is your LLMs, right? So what LLMs can actually do? They can, generate answers they can debug your logical loops and give you the codes as well. They can explain deep into the concepts. But what they cannot do, on right hand side, you'll be able to see that it cannot actually perform the task. As I said, okay, if you told ChatGPT to send the email on your behalf, it will not be, even if you give permissions and etc. things, it will not be able to do. Why? Because it's just an LLM which is working, nothing else. And what LLM can do, LLM can only generate good responses, perform in-depth calculations, give you the codes, etc, but it cannot perform the actual task you know Uh, like to understand, you can think of the entire AI system as your own body. Okay, your brain is nothing but LLM. So if you are thinking that I need to write an email, you're just thinking inside your brain. Until unless you move your hands and go to a laptop and start typing the email, you won't be able to send the email, right? So that is the thing. I hope you are able to understand. You can just react a few words so I can get an idea. It's not going too fast or something like that. Can you all react if you're able to understand? Or if you're not, you can just put it down in the chat. Okay, fine. So there's a question down the line, if you can see the PPT. Why can it think but not act? Right? So as humans, we are only able to think by our brain, right? Until and unless you move your, body, you move your hands, you are not able to perform anything, you know? So accordingly, we introduce the further concept that is nothing but your AI agents, right? So, what if AI could think and take actions? That exactly what agents are. So, I hope you are able to understand the storyline. You can understand with the example of the email itself that we took at the very start. So, we started with questioning, can ChatGPT actually send your emails, right? And we came to a conclusion. What conclusion can anyone, can anyone just put it in the chat, or if anyone can unmute, that would be good. Raise your hands if anyone is willing to. My question is simple. You know, what like how do we came to a conclusion that ChatGPT, why is not ChatGPT able to, send your emails on the behalf of you? Anyone? Okay, fine. Okay. So I'll only summarize for you guys what we did till now is we understood that ChatGPT is just an AI application backed with an LLM. And the main task of your LLM, that is your large language model, is just to think and generate the answers or responses accordingly. It is not responsible to take any kind of action further. And that is where we enter into the third era of AI, that is AI agents. So, what are agents? Agents are nothing but the hands. So as I said, if your brain can think as a human body, if you take an example, if your brain can think, your brain is an LLM, right? But if your hands can perform those actions, those are nothing but agents. So formally defining an AI agent as a complete AI system that uses an LLM to understand the goal. So thinking part will be done by your large language model, but to make decisions, use tools, and complete a task autonomously, you need an agent, right? So I think the difference is very clear between an LLM and an AI agent. Okay, so the primary task of LLM will be only to think, whereas an AI agent will think, make decision, will use various tools in order to complete that task autonomously. So tomorrow, if you go to any agentic AI platform, and if you told that, can you send the email on my behalf to my teacher, then it can send email on your behalf. You need to just provide the email IDs, and rest all will be handled by the agent itself, right? So I think the diagram here on the top actually conveys the same, that you have. So AI agent will be a pack of your LLMs, your tools, your memory, and your planning logic as well, right? So all these together can perform one task autonomously completely, right? So to understand it much better, I hope you all are understanding. If yes, you can just put a reaction so I can understand. Okay. So to understand it much better, you can have an analogy of a restaurant. Okay. So what do you do usually? You go to a restaurant and you put your order. Like for example, you need to have pizza, right? So you ask the waiter to order you a vegetable pizza, for example. Let's take simple, okay? So now the waiter will be the one to understand your order. Like, what do you require? He will be the one to go to chef and tell him that this kind of pizza is what is required by the customer. You need to make it. You know, waiter is the one who is going to coordinate with the billing, and he is the one who will also bring the pizza back to the customer. You know, now the chef here will be an LLM. Okay, he's the one who makes the pizza. He does all the thinking part, right? Have you seen any time a chef coming to you and giving you the pizza? In normal restaurants, this doesn't happen, right? A waiter is the one who is actually coordinating in and between you and the chef, right? So that waiter who actually coordinates throughout is nothing but your AI agent. Now, once you order, definitely you will be paying for it. So all your billing or delivery tools and etc. would come under the tools that you are going to use in order to complete that task, right? So I'll explain this further also if you're not able to understand, but this is quite simple to understand, right? And once you are done with that, your pizza gets delivered. That is, your task gets completed. So the one to coordinate between the LLMs, that is the thinking part, between the tools and between the customer is nothing but an agent. So an agent performs all those tasks and complete, a particular task autonomously. Okay. You all understood till this. Any questions, you can put it in chat. Any questions? Okay. Can many people react? I can see only 2 to 3 people messaging. If you all are able to, you can just react or you can put it in the chat. I'm onto the chat. Or if you have any questions, I'm open to it for that as well. Okay, understood, right? So moving ahead, now we will see one of the real life examples of how exactly your AI agent work, right? So okay, so we will have the same example. As you can see here, I hope you are able to see a student assistant AI agent, right? So a student assistant AI agent may, you are the person, you are asking an AI agent to draft an email and send it to your professor on your behalf, right? So now what this AI agent will do? Okay, so you are at the first step. Now go to the second step where the AI agent understands what the customer or like what the user is asking for and will accordingly plan ahead, right? So it extracts all the assignment deadlines that you have provided to him and it accordingly plans the next steps, right? So for that, it will require some external tools, right? So you'll require either your Google calendars or maybe, your Gmail. So all these are the external tools that an agent will be requiring in order to perform your task autonomously. So all these tools will be connected to the through the agent and your task will be performed, right? So now it has connected like through Google Calendar. You can see just it adds study sessions as calendar events and set time and date for each session. So according to the time, let's say for example you got the reply of your teacher, and you want an alert back, right? So you will just like describe that part into the while you're telling the agent what you want, accordingly, the agent can just give you an alert that your teacher has replied. You can just review that reply, right? So this is how your AI agents can actually draft an email on your behalf, and accordingly, you can get an alert. So this was what the example that we took at the very start, and now I think we are pretty clear that Chat GPT is not something which is based on AI agents. It is purely based on your LLMs, and that is one of the reasons why it is not able to send the email on the behalf of you, right? And this is one more example of a student assistant AI agent. You can just go through it. It is similar kind of example. Okay. So the next question is, but how does your AI agent actually communicate with these tools? Anyone has a prior idea? Anyone wants to speak? Okay. Anyone has a prior idea? Okay, no idea. Fine. Okay. See, whenever you're talking with someone, like for example, you're talking with your friend, right? You need some medium to talk, and that is nothing but your language. So it can be either, it can be either your English or your mother tongue or etc. etc. Right? So in order to communicate, uh, in order that the AI agent can communicate with the different tools so that it can perform a task autonomously, they need to have some common language between them. And that is how we introduce to MCP, that is your Model Context Protocol. So see, first you consider the example which I'm giving, so you'll be able to understand it much better. See, on the right hand side, you can see a picture, right? Where the AI is communicating in different languages for each and every tool. Let's say I'm having Discord, Gmail, Google Calendars, and one more, any tool you take, which is required in order to send an email autonomously to the teacher. For example, you're having a Gmail. So if AI agent has to interact with Gmail, it has to use a particular language. As I said, if you're talking with your friend, how you will talk? With the help of a language, right? It can be English, it can be some another language that you talk with your friend usually, right? So that particular language, you need to have that language with each and every tool. So let's say if all the tools had different languages to speak with. For example, if the AI agent has to speak with Google Calendars, it will use language A, just for an example. Like, or you can say Spanish. It is not very much into it. They are just examples. If AI has to communicate with your Discord, it has to communicate in French. If it has to communicate with some another tool, it will communicate in German. So what this is creating, it is creating a confusion for AI to actually understand that which language will be understood by which tool, right? So are you getting that what is the main problem? That you have to learn. First of all, AI has to learn each and every different language to communicate with each and every different tool that is required in order to perform the task autonomously, right? So if there are 10 different tools that you're using, you will have 10 different languages because every tool will have a particular language to convert to have a communication with AI, right? So there we come up with the solution of model context protocol, which is a common language, that your AI agent uses in order to communicate with all the tools lying out there. So as you can see, with MCP, what happens? Your AI, through one common language, can communicate with your Gmail also, with your Google Sheet also, with GitHub, Slack, Calendar, all the tools present out there. For let's say, for example, you are three friends together. One is Gujarati, one is Marathi, and one is not able to understand any of those languages, right? So you find some common language, English, to talk or to have a conversation when you three of them are together, right? So it becomes easy. It is not confusing for you to, always remember that which language should I choose in order to talk with this particular friend. So similar kind of concept happens with even your AI agents. So AI agents, instead of being confused with 10 different language for 10 different tools, we introduced one common language that is your MCP, Model Context Protocol, that will help you to connect with all the tools lying there, that Gmail, Sheets, GitHub, like all those kind of tools that you require for that task, to be autonomously performed. I hope it is clear, right? So, okay. So if you have to go into exact meaning, what model means, context means, and protocol means. So, see, model is basically your AI model, such as your Gemini, GPT, Claude. Again, I'm more focusing onto models. So I'm focusing onto LLMs, not applications, right? The one who are going to think. Next is the context, the information, tools, and the resources that AI needs to complete a task. As I said, if you require Google Calendars, Discord, etc. tools in order to perform a particular task, that becomes your context, right? And next is protocol. Protocol basically means a set of rule for a standard communication, right? A common form of communication that you can use in order to communicate with all of them, so that your AI agent is never confused. It is very clear, right? So in one line, if I have to say what is MCP, that is your Model Context Protocol, it is a standard set of rules that will help the AI models to communicate with the external tools and services in a much better way, So all those kind of tools which are required in order to complete a particular task, all those tools to communicate with all those tools, AI models make use of your MCP. I hope the concept is quite clear. So here you can see as I have an example like Gmail Sheets, as I explained, that your AI model can actually communicate with all of them through a single common, node that is nothing but your MCP, Model Context Protocol. I hope that's clear. What you want me to repeat?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, but I really want to.
Shruti, right? Can you just I saw your message now. Can you just text what you want me to repeat? Uh, about others, have you understood what exactly is MCP and what role it plays? How it communicates? I didn't understood what you want to ask. Can you elaborate a bit? How it communicates, as in how the AI model communicates with other tools, that is through MCP, right? Uh, okay, see, how it communicates means if you have to go much in technical part, like, what are steps? Are you asking like that precisely? You can, okay. So how does your AI model communicates with all the tools? It is through MCP, right? So it will use your MCP in order to connect to all those tools which are required for a task to be performed autonomously. Understood, right? Okay. Others, have you understood the main, part of MCP? You can just Yeah, I'll be moving ahead with an example also. No worries about that. I'll take an example which covers all the concepts as well. So no issues. Okay. Okay. Moving ahead. So you understood, right, what are MCP? So far we understood what is an LLM. So consider an example of your body, right? You're having a brain. Your brain acts as your LLM, that is your large language model, which will think. So if you're sitting on a chair and if you're just thinking that I need to do this, I need to do that, is it actually going to happen? No, until and unless you perform some actions with your hands and do that work and start doing that work, it is not going to. So your brain is nothing but your LLM. Your hands are nothing but your agents, which help you to take those kind of actions. And when it comes to agents, definitely, like for example, see, you wanted an example of MCP, right? So you can consider like your LLMs are your brains, right? If you have to perform any action, you need to make use of your hands. So those are nothing but your AI agents. But let's say to write an email, you read a book, consider that is your tool. Your book is a tool that you require. So I just take the book with me through a common source of language. Like, for example, I'm asking my friend to give me a book. So, how am I asking? Through a common language, right? So, as I said, I'll not use different language for different tools. So, if I have to get a book, pen, eraser, paper, all these are my tools. If I have to get those tools, I'll be communicating in the same language in order to get those tools. So, that language with which am I communicating will be nothing but my MCP, that is your model context protocol, and the pen, paper, eraser, etc. will be your tools, which will help you to complete your task of writing an email. Is this clear now? Like you could have got a better idea of how it works. I hope. Is it fine? Who's asking for example? Okay. One more formal example we'll see ahead. No issues. Okay. Okay. So now till this we are quite clear. So now the next question comes if AI can communicate with tools via MCP for sure, how do we actually connect all these tools together into a working application? So till now what we are having an LLM which will think for us. We are having an AI agent which will perform all the tasks. We are having an MCP, we are having the protocol which will help us to connect with all the two external tools as well, but we are not having the exact workflow. कि पहले Gmail काम करेगा या शीट्स गूगल शीट्स काम करेगा या GitHub काम करेगा, like what should be the exact sequence in which they will work, who will be deciding that, and thereby we introduce your n8n automation workflow. So n8n is just a platform. Main concept is your automation workflow, right? So we need something that connects all these tools into a seamless process so that your entire process of drafting an email and sending it to your faculty or teacher gets completed in a proper way. You know, so for that you require automation workflows, and n8n is one of those automation workflow platform, right? So for this, what you can do is you can consider an example. Don't look at the PPT. I'll just give you an example first, and then we'll go to that. If you have to go to a cafe, let's say that cafe is quite 500 meters away from your house. I have to get up from my room. I have to go to living room first, right? From living room, I have to go to I have to go out of my house and take an elevator down. Then I have to go into the society, get a car, and from there I have to go travel 500 meters, and then I'll be able to enter into the cafe. Right? So there are some sequence of steps that I need to follow in order to go to the cafe, that is to achieve my end goal. Right? ऐसे होगा क्या कि you're having an anywhere door and you said I need to reach cafe, and you just say I need to reach cafe, you open the door and you go into the cafe. Is this possible in reality? No, right? So you need a proper sequence of steps, workflow that helps you to complete that task. And that is nothing but your automation workflow, right? Automation matlab you will automate that workflow. You don't need to be an orchestrator or an observer in order to, make that task complete, right? So what is, and n8n is a platform which helps you to get those automation workflows. So if you can see at my right-hand side, this is the interface of how an n8n looks like, right? So you just mentioned. So here what am I mentioning is I'll be connecting all those things available with me, like the tools available with me, the AI model with which am I interacting as well, right? So here you can see your Gmail is connected to Google Drive. That is connected to Gemini, which will help you to extract the information. That is connected to your Google Sheets and then to the Discord. So this will be your workflow in which you need to perform those actions one after the other so that you get a consistent output and you don't end up getting something bad, you know. So n8n is a workflow automation platform that helps you to visually connect your AI models, applications, and services, allowing them to work together automatically with little or no code. So it is a no code platform, n8n, right? So why do we actually need anything? See, if you are not having anything as such anything, since we are using agents, we need to define a workflow. Do you all agree with that? You're using agents, you have tools, you have your AI models ready, everything is in your hands, but you still need a workflow in order to complete that task. When it is as good as you're having all the ingredients for a recipe, you have the recipe book, you have all the ingredients chopped well enough in front of you. But until and unless what to do one after the other, like first I have to take the vegetables, I have to cook this, then I'll be going ahead. Until and unless you know the steps, you won't be able to complete the task, right? You're able to understand it. What am I trying to say? You can just react if you are able to understand. Okay, right? So even if there is everything with you, until and unless you have a workflow, you cannot move ahead. And that is exactly what we are trying to do with the help of n8n platform. So n8n will be used in order to create that workflow, right? In order to create that flow, that what sequence of steps you need to follow, right? So वो तो हमें करना ही पड़ेगा. There is no option for that. So if we could not have those n8n platforms, we have to write hundreds of lines of codes in order to connect all of them. Just say Gmail to Gemini to Sheets to Discord. If I have to connect, what was a way? The only way we had is to write hundreds of lines of code. But now n8n is such a platform which will simply help you to connect visually. Like it will visually, you have drag and drop, and you can visually get down all the tools, models that you want to, and you can connect them visually. So it is drag, connect, and automate. That's it. Like it is that easy. And that is how in a simple way, you will be able to connect your tools, your AI models together, and you'll be able to design a workflow, right? So this is the main use of anything. If anyone could tell me, what do you mean by the full form of anything? Anyone knows? N8n क्यों बोलते हैं? You can put it in chat if you know, or you can just raise your hand. I'll be, you know, I'm eager to listen if anyone is going to unmute. No, any one of you, some of the people may know. Correct. I think I got one answer in chat box. That is your node mission. Cool. So, but why n8n? It's node mission, right? Okay, I'll go ahead. n8n basically stands for node mission. Very good, those who already knew it. And basically it is n and n, like the starting n and the ending ka n. And in between those two n's, you have eight letters, if you see. And that is the reason why it is n8n. So it is just a play on the name, nothing else. So a node, okay, why it is known as n8n? Because it is a node-based automation platform using connected workflow nodes. So what you're exactly doing here is you're connecting the nodes, right? कि Gmail ka there is one node, Google Drive ka there is another node, and you're connecting them, and that is one of the reasons why the platform is named as Node Mission. And N8N ka the logic is as simple as that, what I told you now, right? So I think there we go with one more example, but I hope you have understood till now. If yes, you can just put a yes or you can react so I can move ahead with the last example, which will help us to cover everything that we have learned till now. Okay. Okay, I had one doubt, I think, that went upside. Anything is just a software? Yes, it is just a software which is used in order to connect. As I said, that if you are supposed to, you are having tools, right? As I said, that you will be having models, you will be having various tools, services, and in order to connect those, you are just having a software, a very easy like a very simple to interpret. You have to just drag, connect, and automate. That's it. I hope that answers your doubt. Yash, I think. Yash asked it. Got it, right? Yes. So we can move ahead. If you have any doubts, you can just put it in the chat. Okay. So there we go with now, as you're having everything now, right? We learned about LLMs, we learned about AI agents, we learned about MCP, we went through workflow platforms, and one of it is n8n that we have actually. So how exactly to put this all together and in production, how exactly the system runs, you know. So we'll consider an example of smart assignment assistant. I'm carrying on the same example so you exactly understand that, what role will each and every, component, what role each and every component plays. Maybe your agents, LLMs, MCPs, or anything, right? So you can just see the right hand side part, the right hand side workflow. You are able to see, right? All of you. Okay. So as I said, अभी तक तो the motto would be very clear that we need to that here we have an example of summarizing your lecture ka notes, and then that you're supposed to send it an email to your class. So let's take this new example, okay? So summarize today's lectures, and you need to send an email to your class. So their class is up with your content, right? So what AI agent will do? So first, the person will come in picture will be our AI agent, which will understand the goal and will decide what needs to be done. ठीक है, so user को क्या चाहिए है that it needs to summarize today's lecture and then accordingly need to draft an email and send it to the class. Let's say the class has a Discord group or we'll take a Discord group right now, or you can send a Gmail also, right? So AI agent understand what exactly your user requires. Anyone wants to speak? Okay. Okay, so we'll continue. Okay, so as I said, AI agent will understand. Now, LLM reasons and generates the summary. So now whatever your lecture ka note, whatever is your lecture, okay, you have provided, maybe you have provided a recording of the lecture. Now what your LLM will do is, based on that recording, it will just summarize and generate text. Again, I'm saying and emphasizing that LLM will be used, or will only do the generation wala part. It will be only used in order to think. It will not perform. The main task of performing is being done by your agent itself, right? So your LLM will just understand the lecture and will summarize everything into the notes. Now, next is your MCP. Now that will provide a standard way for the agent to communicate with the tools. So what all tools will be required? We will require Gmail, Google Sheets, and Discord. Like if you're having a Discord group wherein you have to share the summary of the lecture notes, you can have. So let's take we're having these three tools available with us, right? So AI agent will be making use of that MCP to communicate with all these tools, and your n8n, that is your workflow or automation platform, will help you to connect them in a sequence that you want. Let's say, for example, first you need to have Gmail. I'm just giving you an example. Uh, the exact
Yeah.
workflow can differ. The exact workflow can, of course, differ. So, first, for example, you have Gmail connected to Google Sheet, connected to Discord. So that is your sequence of steps that you need to perform in order to complete the task that is given by your user, right? Now, uh, there will be a cycle going in, like whatever task you will be having. Once that is completed, again, it will go to the AI agent and AI agent will be performing. As I said, the main task of AI agent is to perform task, thinking part, you're having your support tools, connecting them together, and, having a common language to talk with them are just your, components. In order to put them all together, you need an AI agent, and that is the reason why your n8n is connected back then to your AI agent, so that now your AI agent can perform that task of, taking up the summary and emailing it to your Discord groups or wherever you want to put in. And this is how your task gets completed. A summary is generated and it is also shared and to your entire class. So this is how the entire workflow is the workflow of an AI agent, right? Now the main thing why agents are more good, you can say, is because see, LLMs are trained on massive amount of data. On millions and trillions of tokens, your LLMs are trained, right? There are high chances that the LLMs hallucinate a lot. Many of you could have experienced also. If you go on to a very long context with ChatGPT, it starts giving you confidently the wrong answers, which is a part of hallucinations, right? I think in the very first lecture, Lindsay covered about hallucinations. If you can recollect as of now, uh, you can you just message, you know, can you recollect about hallucinations? What are the hallucinations in an AI model, right? So if you keep on, asking questions for a very long time, you know, it will start giving you wrong answers, which are completely out of the context. And it will answer so confidently that, you and me cannot understand that it is going wrong because it justifies them, right? Whereas when you have agentic AI tools, let's say for a specific task to generate code, to generate in production codes, you have particular agents, right? Which will come up together and will perform your task that is more better as compared to a single model doing the entire work. And main, the reason to have a shift from these LLMs to the next part, that is your AI agents, is that it helps you to reduce the hallucinations to a very good extent, and that is where AI agents are today more into picture also, and they are more into the discussions also, right? So all those tools which are agentic, you could say, which are based on AI agents, you know, are probably those who answers you well as compared to Chat GPT or horizontal AI tools that we have, Gemini, etc. Right? So I hope you have understood so far. So this much is what we were covering up to here, and I hope you all have understood what is the main difference why we are shifting from LLMs to your AI agents, right? Anyone has any doubt, has not understood anything, can just put or drop the message in the chat box so I can answer to them. Anyone has any doubt, just put it in chat box. I'll wait for 1 or 2 minutes. Uh, so- okay. See, like, are you trying to kind of align it with agents? Is it so, or you're asking in general to context of LLM? Can I get that first? So I'll answer accordingly. Like ChatGPT. See, ChatGPT is an, as I said, it is an AI application which is backed by LLM. So if you are, sometimes as you have messaged that people sometimes use AI to, talk. Okay, talk with me. That is the work of LLMs. It thinks like a human. See, what is artificial intelligence? To go into very basic, artificial intelligence is basically stimulating your human intelligence into a machine. So as a human, whatever things I can think, however I can connect to different things. Similarly, I'm training my machine to do so. So already my machine or the LLMs are trained on millions and trillions of tokens, wherein it has actually analyzed the patterns, like how exactly you're conversing with a person, like you put down your interest, you put down your opinions, right? So all that is all the modules have been already trained. Moreover, they are also getting trained based on how you are responding, so your messages or your conversations with them can be also used to retrain them. So that is one of the use of your conversations that you develop, right? So this is how your models are actually adapt, so according to what questions you ask and what are the previous patterns that it has already been observed, it tries and gives you the answers, and that is how it tries to adapt. So it tries to find the correct connections in and between. See, for that you need to understand much great about neural networks, which still we say are the black box of AI. But yeah, I think this answers your question quite enough, right? This is what you wanted to ask, right? Okay. So it is like, see, your chat, as far as your chat GPT is concerned, it what is ChatGPT an application? But it is backed by LLMs, right? So your main core part is your LLMs, and LLMs are trained on massive amount of data. So whatever you're putting in as a response and whatever you're getting as a response, it is already based on how it is being trained. So that is how it goes ahead. Anyone else want to come up with any other questions that you would like to ask? Okay. We'll just summarize in 2 minutes and then I'll hand it over to the next person. So we started quite good enough with understanding how your computers are evolved. Right? I'll just put down the PPTs also if you want to. Um, okay. Okay, so the first slide itself gives you the complete flow of user to LLM to agent to tools, n8n, and thereby we automate, right? So we started from computers which are following just instructions, and we went up to the computers which are now able to think, like humans and are able to give answer like humans. And now what we are onto is now computers or the tools only performing the entire task autonomously without any human intervention. Only the human needs to, convey what kind of task we want to, right? So that is basically how we are moving from chatbots to performing the task, and this is how your AI learned to work and not just give you a response, right? Next, we went with the brain behind the AI chatbots. I hope now today at least you have understood one thing, that what are LLMs used for and how exactly your ChatGPT works, right? So LLMs are used to think or perform tasks. Put it in chat, so I'll get to know you have understood or not. Think, right? More response. Are only these three, four people awake? See, this is kind of those concepts that you can actually use in your hackathon that is coming ahead. You know, like it can actually elevate your project from just a project to something really good enough. So I hope you have understood the basics quite good. Yes, think, right? So your LLMs are basically used to think. So all the thinking part happens in your LLMs. The next is okay. So what your LLM can do is your LLM can generate, the content. It can write the codes, the syntax, everything. But what it cannot is it cannot perform the task. So though you are having a brain, you're not having the hands to perform the task, right? So there we introduce agents, and what now AI agents are used to perform tasks or think. Think so it's already done. You can just put it in the chat. What role do agents play? Quick, quick. I think we are running out of the time already. Used to perform tasks. Correct, correct. Good. Okay. To act, that's also fine. I hope you have understood this restaurant analogy also. It is one of those simple things I can understand agents in a much more good way. Okay. And this was the example we saw, and then we come towards MCP. you know MCP is used for what, like what it is. Can anyone just text me out so I can understand if I've understood or not? It acts as a medium. Okay, great. So in simple terms, if your AI model has to communicate with the tools, you communicate it via MCP. So if you have to connect 10 different tools, no need of 10 different languages. You can just use a common language which can communicate with rest of all the tools that we are having. Quite good enough. Everyone is answering. I hope uh, this helps me to understand that you have understood today. Okay. So this is without MCP and with MCP, as we saw. And once we have all the ingredients ready, but still if we have to cook a good dish, what do we require? A good workflow, right? So without a workflow, nothing. Correct. We need workflow. See, n8n is a platform which helps you to create a workflow. Okay. This can be one of the confusion you could have. So n8n is just a platform which provides you with that kind of facilitates you to put down into a workflow, right? So if you're having all of them together, a workflow matters, because until unless you don't have a workflow, just as I said, you don't have an anywhere door, right? You cannot directly enter into a cafe. You have to follow some sequence of steps to do so, right? to perform the task. Otherwise, you can reach to some another cafe as well, right? So that is the main thing of it. So workflows are used for that. And in order to have a workflow, you make use of n8n platforms, which are just softwares, which help you to visually connect. And thereby we come to the end of it. Okay. So I hope you all have understood today's lecture. You can just put down your feedbacks. Like they've understood it was too heavy to go up with or something like that. Okay, all right. Others can at least react. Those people are not responding onto the chat. Okay. If you have any doubts regarding, you know, anything, you can also connect me offline. By the way, I'm Mitali from Computer Department, third year. So yeah, okay. I think you can move forward. I'm done with.
Yes, yes, thank you, Natalia. I'll continue now. So the second session, that is the second part of the session, would be based on RAG, where we'll try to understand the basics of RAG. We'll not go deep into it because it has been all theory from the beginning of the session. So we'll just look at the basics of RAG and try to understand what exactly it is. I'll just share my screen. Is it visible? Can someone from the team respond?
Yes, yes, it's visible, Aksa.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll start with RAG. Right now, Mithali had explained about how LLM works, what LLM is exactly about, and all. So it's a model which is trained on massive amounts of data, and using those data, it gives us information. It generates certain response. So now there are some shortcomings to these LLMs. So, first of all, is hallucination. If you recollect, as Mithali said, Lindsay had taught about this in the first session. Hallucination is nothing but when an LLM doesn't know an answer or it does not have any information about that thing, it tries to manipulate the answer or it tries to generate its own answer. Sometimes it can be right, sometimes it might be wrong. So the LLM begins to hallucinate. It's not sure about whatever it's giving. So that is one shortcoming or one problem with LLMs. Second is knowledge cutoffs. As she said, ChatGPT is nothing but a pre-trained model. So suppose the training period of ChatGPT came to an end on January 20, 2025. So it knows everything until that date. But whatever happened after January 20, it has no idea about it. So again, whenever it does not have an idea about something, it starts to hallucinate. And the third problem is that it does not have any private data. So LLMs or ChatGPT, for instance, it is trained on general data. It has general knowledge. If I ask something related to my college or something related to me, it would not have an answer to that question. These are the three shortcomings of LLMs. So amongst this, we are focusing on the third one, that is, it has no private data. So this problem is what turns into RAG. So now you'll be thinking, why build a system? By the way, I cannot see the chat. Okay, so if any doubts, you could raise your hand. So why build a entirely new system when you could just put the entire document to ChatGPT and tell me and tell it to find something for me? This is possible, but suppose if you're working on a 1,000 page research paper or a book which has 1,000 to 1,000 pages, it is not easy for even the model to process it, and it is also not easy for us because our tokens are getting wasted in that. GPT or the model, Gemini, whatever it is, it has to go through each and every line of those papers or those books. and also it is not scalable. These are the problems why we are building a entirely new system called as RAG. So what RAG does is RAG is made up of three words: retrieval, augmentation, and generation. Retrieval means it is trying to retrieve something. Augmentation, the word augment means to combine something, and generation is it's generating based on whatever it has retrieved and augmented. Now we'll understand what it is trying to retrieve, what it is trying to augment, and what it is trying to generate. So the basic thing what a RAG does is, when the user posts a question, it retrieves information related to that question, it sends it to the LLM along with the question, and the LLM answers it accurately. So now again we'll say, is there a question or something more? So again we'll say, instead of putting the entire document, we could fine tune the model. Fine tune is nothing but, as I said, ChatGPT is a pre-trained model. Fine tuning means that if January 2026 is when the training period ended, fine tuning means that next year, again on the same day or some other day, I am giving it the information that has happened in the past 1 year. I'm trying to train the model completely again, from not from scratch, but also building upon its current information. This is also possible, and there are models which are fine tuned. But the problem with this is the cost. It requires a huge amount to fine tune the model because you're altering the entire model structure. Then, second is that it is time consuming. You can't fine tune a model in 1 day. It takes days, weeks, months to fine tune a model. And also, as I said, we need to retrain the model, right? So we could maybe alter it in a good way or in a bad way. If we alter it in a bad way, whatever we have built till now is going waste. Altering doesn't always mean that we alter it into something better. We might mess up, and maybe we might turn it into something more dangerous. So these are the problems with fine tuning. So it was a better alternative to build RAG. Here the cost is low, it has real-time retrieval, and it just needs to update in the database. It need not have to retrain the entire model again. So the we are not doing two things. We are not putting the entire document, and we are not fine tuning because it has its own limitations. So now what RAG exactly does is, it has two phases. First phase is the ingestion phase. So if I'll give you an example what RAG exactly does. So we all are computer students, or we all are in the engineering branch, and if we are asked to give a exam on microbiology or something related to the bio field, so, and we have no prior information that we are supposed to give this exam, or we will be giving it now, we have to prepare for that, we are not at all prepared. So in that case, our memory spans only across the CS domain. We don't have any information about the bio domain. So we would definitely hallucinate. We will try to make up answers and pass the test. Same thing happens with the models. So now imagine that you are asked to write the paper, but you're also given a book on microbiology, or the book from which the questions are asked. Now it becomes easier for you to find the answers, look for the answers, search for the answers, and based on that you would be able to write the paper and pass with a very good score. The same thing happens with we when we write a question to the LLM, we also give the information, or we also give the section from which the question is asked. So it has the question, it also has the answer. It just needs to reframe it and present it to the user. So how that works is, first The documents, we upload the documents. This happens when we are building the RAG. The ingestion phase happens when we are building the RAG. So the documents are put. From those documents, the text is extracted. Like first you try to extract the words, then you try to extract the sentence. In a way, you extract the text from the document. Then the text goes through a chunking phase where you make chunks. Chunks is basically you make blocks of similar data. We'll come into chunking later. So you make blocks of similar data. Then the embedding step comes, and those embedded vectors are stored in the vector database. We'll look into all those things. This is what happens when you are building a RAG model. The documents are uploaded, the text is extracted, chunking happens, embeddings are generated, and those are stored in the vector database. So this is the ingestion phase, and this happens only once. You do not do this again and again. Second is the query phase. That is when the person is actually asking a question. The user asks a question. The question is also converted into a vector, and we search for similar vectors. Now the question has some vectors, the answer has some, I mean, the database has some vectors already stored. So we try to find similar vectors. We try to retrieve the most similar outputs. Like we'll come to the top K chunks part. So we try to retrieve similar outputs, and based on that question and the output which we retrieve, that is the answer, the LLM answers the question which the user has asked. Any doubts till now? Okay, no doubts. So this is a RAG pipeline. Now we'll go into detail into how each and every step works. So we upload the documents, the text is extracted from that. That part is clear. Now the chunking part. Chunking is basically you split the documents into small blocks. So for example, if I have uploaded maybe a book, or maybe you could say a research paper. If I've uploaded a research paper, so in that it makes chunks of similar items. So for example, a research paper has introduction, it has the author's name, it has abstract, then it has conclusion, it has the methodology, it has the research and everything. So it makes chunks of each of them, like blocks of, so abstract part would be one block, then the conclusion part would be one block. Or if I upload a company documents, or if I upload our college documents, then the attendance part would be one block, the syllabus part would be one block, the college clubs part would be one block. So that is chunking part. So why do we do this chunking? Because we want that our memory is saved, right? So instead we could just put the entire document to the model and ask it to answer. But again, as we discussed, there is token wastage, there is time wastage, slower response, etc. So that's the reason why we are doing this chunking part. There are three main methods in how we do chunking. First is that fixed size chunking. So in this, what we do is we say, suppose I train the model and I tell it to split exactly where it reaches 300 words. So after every 300 words, it will make a chunk. It is an easy to implement method, but what happens is it might cut the sentences in half. So when I say that 300 words, it's not necessary that it would end up with a full stop. It could maybe end up in the beginning of a sentence, like if something starts with initially this part or something like that, it could end up at part, it could end after initially. Not necessary that it would end after a full stop. So that is fixed size chunking. It has one limitation, but it is simple to implement. Second is overlapping chunking. So to prevent the limitation of fixed size chunking, here we take overlaps of the chunk. So what we do is, while chunking, as we said, 300 words, we're taking 300 words, but the sentence did not complete there. So we take the whole sentence, even though that sentence is not a part of that particular chunk. It might be there in another chunk as well. So so if there is chunk 1 and chunk 2, there might be a possibility that 10 to 20% of the text, that is, it would be similar in both the chunks. So it tries to maintain the context by keeping the sentences complete, but it ends up in having duplicate lines. Like the same line would be present in both the chunks. That is overlapping chunking. And third is semantic or recursive chunking. Here it splits, like as I said about the research paper. It knows the context and it splits smartly, like it knows where exactly the abstract ends. So the abstract part would become one chunk, the conclusion part would become one chunk on a similar basis. So this was about the chunking part. Any doubts till now? Okay, I see no doubts, so we'll move forward. Next is the embedding and the semantic search part. So these words might sound too complex, but it's actually a simple concept. Um, so we'll start with embedding. Embedding is nothing but you convert the text. Like we said that the question that we are putting to ChatGPT or the text that we have extracted, we are chunking it and then we are embedding it. Embedding is basically we're converting them into vectors, or we're converting words into numbers. Now you would think how this part is done. So I'll give you an example of this. Just a second. Yeah, I think the screen is visible. So now suppose there are three dogs. I mean three words: dog, horse, and car. Now how these are converted into vectors is, we will now discuss about a three-dimensional vector. I'll ask certain questions to those words. So first is I'm asking if I'm rating them on the basis of friendliness. So how friendly is a dog? So generally, dogs are considered the friendliest animal amongst all the other animals. So I am giving it a 0.9. Then a horse might be 0.5. It depends on what type of horse, etc. Then a car doesn't have feelings, so its vector or its what do you say rank would be 0.0. Similarly, I am asking a second question: is this thing used for transportation? So a dog, it is not used for transportation. So I'll put a 0.0. A horse, is it used for transportation? You could say kind of. There are people who do horse riding. So it is a way of using it for transportation. So I'll give it a 0.6. A car, 100% it's used for transportation. So a 1. Third, third question I'm asking is, does this thing make sound? So yes, a dog barks, so it makes sound. A horse, yes. A car, yes. So I asked three questions and I generated three numbers for each of the things. Now these three things become the vector for dog. This becomes the vector for horse, and this becomes the vector for car. Now, since we're talking about a three-dimensional plane, these would look like this. This is the x-axis, the y, and the z-axis. So a dog and horse would be somewhere around here, and the car would be in a completely different plane, because the similarity or the difference between these two vectors is less as compared to these two vectors. So this is how it would look in the vector plane. So I hope you all understood. This is analogous. It is not that we ask questions and vectors are generated. It is a more complex thing, and we are talking about three dimension as of now. Chat GPT is trained, or it uses around 768 dimensions for the GPT-2 model. When it comes to the GPT-4 model, it uses around 4096 dimensions. So it is not possible for humans to, imagine or represent these dimensions in some or the other way. This is just a tiny, you could say, version or a tiny example of how words are converted into numbers. So this part is done. Now these things are the vectors which are in the plane. Is there a doubt? No, okay. So these are the numbers which are stored in the plane. Now there is a concept of cosine similarity. Cosine similarity is uh, cosine, as you all know, is the trigonometric value of sine, tan, and cos. So among that, cosine. Now, what is cosine similarity? Mathematically, any point. So now I've made dog as a point, horse as a point, car as a point. So mathematically, any point can be imagined as an arrow or a vector that is pointing from the center origin to the specific coordinate. So it would have a direction. Now, if you look into this, if I am walking in this direction and my friend is also walking in this direction, the angle between these two is zero. And you know that cos of zero is one. That means there is high similarity between these two concepts. Like you could see in this, these are there the angle between these two is very less. So the similarity is more between these two rather than these two, because this angle is more than this angle. So if in the same direction, it is high similarity. If in the opposite direction, that means it is negative similarity. In the sense, here the concepts would be totally opposite to each other. If the angle is in 90 degrees, then there is zero similarity. Nothing is similar. Cos 90 is zero. And if they are in a particular angle, or they are inclined in some angle, that means there is medium similarity, or that the concepts are somewhat related to each other, not exactly related. This is the concept of cosine similarity. Any doubts till now? Okay, no doubts. So PPT now. Yeah, so we were talking about embedding. So I hope you all understood what embeddings is. Embeddings is nothing but whatever text we have extracted, that we are converting it into vectors. Vectors are basically numbers. Now there is one more word written here, that is semantic search. Now what semantic search exactly is? Our normal search is when we try to match words. Like if you open a PDF and you try to search for a particular word, that is called as keyword search. You write a word and you look for that same word. But in semantic search, what happens? We try to find words based on their meanings. Like see, there's an example given here. Sentence 1, the capital of France is Paris, and sentence 2 is Paris is the seat of government. These two sentences, and suppose there is another two sentences. The capital of France is Paris, and maybe monkeys eat bananas. So if you consider these two set of sentences, the first set has more relation to each other than the second set, in terms of words, in terms of meanings. So that is known as semantic search. We search based on the meanings. Now, how we do that? Like I said, that the words are converted into vectors. So we check that which of the vector values are more close to each other. On the basis of that, we pick those words. Till here, is it okay? No doubts, I think. So, semantic search finds matches based on intent, even if vocabulary differs. Cosine similarity we just mentioned right now, and top K retrieval. Top K retrieval is okay. We'll see to it further. I hope this slide is clear to y'all. Next is okay. Now we have turned these words into vectors. Where are we supposed to store these vectors? We can't use MongoDB or we can't use, Firebase to store these vectors. So a normal database is not enough to store these kind of vectors. So we use a vector database. There are different types of vector database. One of them is ChromaDB, and there are many other types of vector database, which is its whole purpose is to store vectors, and it is optimized for semantic search. That is, it is best for searching based on meanings. I think this part is pretty easy to understand why we're using a vector database, because it could store vectors easily and searching becomes very fast and it searches based on the meaning rather than the word. So if I say the word accountability, so rather than only searching for accountability, if there's a word called responsibility in the document or the paper, it would bring that word also, because those words are similar in meaning, or they are stored together in the vector. Together in the database. So as of now, what we learned is the user asks a question. The question is turned into a vector, and vector search is done. Top K retrieval. Now top K retrieval means when you ask a question. So suppose I'm asking about accountability only. So I'm asking the question, how accountable is this person or something like that. So there might be the word accountability repeating in multiple places, in multiple chunks. So if it has to bring all the chunks, and all the chunks have accountability, then what is the purpose of making this system? It is on the other hand, it is bringing the entire paper itself to me. So top K retrieval means I decide the K value. If I say K is equal to 3 or K is equal to 5, so I say bring 5 most relevant chunks rather than bringing everything related to accountability. So that is top K retrieval. Now the retrieved chunks are then sent to the prompt along with sent to the LLM along with the question, and based on that, the LLM generates the final answer. Now there are different, I hope till here it is clear about what exactly RAG is and how it works. Okay, so I'll then move forward. Now there are different types of RAG. We'll not go detail into it. We'll just look into the different types. So the first and the very basic type is naive RAG. Naive RAG is whatever we have discussed till now. That is, we upload the document, then it gets the text gets extracted, then it is converted into chunks, then the chunks are turned, and then the chunks are embedded into vectors. The vectors are then stored into database. Whatever we said, the basic flow that happens in naive RAG. The question is asked, it is stored, the question is converted into an embedding or a vector. Similar vectors are checked from the database, and top K chunks are brought, and the LLM answers based on that. So this is the very basic model. Second is the advanced RAG. In advanced RAG, what it does is, instead of retrieving just one random document, it rewrites or rephrases your query. It retrieves multiple relevant documents. It re-ranks them. Even if in the naive RAG, what happens is it brings top K chunks. It brings top three chunks, and based on that, it generates the answer. In advanced RAG, what happens? It re-ranks all of them. Like, oh, this chunk has 90% similarity to the question, or this chunk has 25%, so it would be ranked third. So it re-ranks the chunk, then it removes the irrelevant chunk if there's any, and then generates the answer. So this is an advanced version of the RAG, and it improves the retrieval quality. That is what advanced RAG does. This is the second generation of RAG. Third is hybrid RAG. Hybrid RAG, what it does is it combines both the methods. That is the keyword search and the semantic search. So keyword search is searching based on words. So if I search for the word responsibility, I just pick up the word responsibility or the chunk having the word responsibility, along with semantic search. Semantic search is searching based on meanings. So it brings chunks with similar meanings also. So why this helps is this improves the efficiency. Since we are using both the methods, for example, if I search for Python list comprehension or how lists work in Python, so keyword search would bring everything related to Python. Vector search semantic search would even bring if there is a line saying creating uh, efficient loops or something like that. So it would bring that line also, because that might be somewhere near to whatever the question was, or whatever the line that is Python list comprehension, because it thinks that it has a similar meaning. So based on that, it merges both the results, ranks them as an advanced rank, and then the LLM generates the answer. So an example for this is Google. It uses both the keyword search and the semantic search to find out answers. See, there's an example here. Vector search understands concepts. If I ask about laptop, it would a keyword search would bring only laptop. But if I ask about if the semantic search, what it does, if there is a model of laptop or if there is anything related to the laptop, it will bring that as well. So this is hybrid search. It is the best of both. Fourth is graph RAG. This is the fourth generation of RAG. Here, it tries to create relationship between those words. Like we built a graph of that dog, cat, and horse. Dog, horse, and car. So in that, it's just some points on the plane. What graph RAG does is it builds relationship based on these things. So for example, I asked uh, who is the teacher of computer A, or who is the teacher of SEM 5 computer A. So it tries to build a relationship between teacher, then semester 5, that to semester 5 what computer A. So it tries to make a graph out of it, and then that is used to generate output. This this RAG is kind of like an advanced type, and it is used in medical research, research gap discovery, legal documents, and scientific literature. I hope this part is clear. Then last type, or the final type as of now, is agentic RAG. In this, what happens is agents are also involved with the RAG. Mithali taught about agents, MCP, n8n, etc. So what agents can do is they can perform tasks which, of course, a general model cannot. So this also acts similarly. For example, if I tell my system to plan me a 3-day trip to Goa, and my budget is 10,000. So what this agent does is it would look for flights, it would look for hotels, it would suggest me tourist destinations, it would create an itinerary for me. So it performs multiple retrievals before giving me the complete output or the answer. So this is kind of like an intelligent RAG which can do things on its own. So naive RAG, it retrieves the answer once. Advanced RAG, it retrieves in a much smarter way. Hybrid RAG, it combines keyword search and semantic search. Graph RAG, it retrieves information using relationship between the entities. And agentic RAG, it can plan, it can use tools, it can perform multiple retrievals and then answer the question. So these were the different types of RAG. So Naive RAG is very easy to implement. And the most difficult one is agentic RAG. So this was all about RAG. I hope you understood the RAG pipeline, what RAG exactly does, and what are the different types of RAG. Oh, okay, real world. It finds application in all these places. Like suppose legal document search. So a company could build a RAG system for them where if any employee asks for the legal positioning of the company or etc or questions related to that, that model would be able to answer more accurately than asking to a general model like ChatGPT, Gemini, or etc. So it finds application in all these places. So this is what we learned till now. LLMs have limitations. One of them is that it does not deal with private data. RAG, RAG, it gives an external brain to the LLM. Then documents are chunked. After chunking, we do embedding. Those embedded vectors are stored in the vector database. And when a question comes or when a prompt is entered, even that prompt is converted into a vector and they search for similar vectors on the plane. And based on that, the output is generated. So there was supposed to be a hands-on RAG implementation session, but due to time constraints, we're not having it as of now. I think a video would be uploaded regarding that. So this is it from my side. If there's any doubts, you all can post it. Else, I think we'll move on to the quiz part. It's already 8:57.
Guys, before I'll continue with the quiz, just a few announcements. One, we'll be kicking off with the hackathon today. So before we do that, all of your doubts, any or all doubts, we request you all to put them in the Discord today itself, so that you guys can be clear with all your concepts before you all head into the hackathon. And I'll just be explaining what exactly the judging criteria for the hackathon, the timeline, and everything will be shared with you all shortly. The timeline, everything is in the brochure. So I'd recommend going through the brochure once before the hackathon so you'll have a rough idea as to what's going to happen. Plus, we will also be sharing a WhatsApp message with the timeline and all the details. So all of that will be there. If Joel's there, he'll explain it to you all roughly right now. So Joel.
Hey everyone. So many were facing issues with those git push and deployment errors. So for now we have like removed that criteria. So if you guys if you want to register, you guys can do right now. जल्दी से bring your team. जो भी तुम लोग का गिटअप लिंक्स है जल्दी से रजिस्टर फॉर्म में डाल के रजिस्टर कर दो क्योंकि इसके बाद we are going to prepare the list and will allocate the panels to you. So tomorrow you guys have present in front of that panel after the final git push. So be ready with that. All the time schedules will be shared soon. And if you guys have any issues या कुछ भी issues तुम लोग face कर रहे हो, you guys can directly call also, it's fine. या मैसेज भी कर दो या डिस्कॉर्ड में भी तुम लोग ये कर सकते हो. और लाइक 12 को मेंटरिंग राउंड रहेगा. ऑल दोस हु आर इंटरेस्टेड कैन ज्वाइन. और जैसा बोला अगर तुम लोग को बीच में भी कोई भी इश्यू रहेगा डायरेक्टली कॉल. मैसेज अगर नहीं रिप्लाई आ रहा है डायरेक्टली कॉल करो, इट्स फाइन, विल बी अवेक. तो या दैट्स इट. बाकी सब व्हाट्सएप पे आएगा तो स्टे ट्यून्ड एंड ऑल द बेस्ट.
Just to add on to what Joel said, like he mentioned, the GitHub push is not compulsory. Also, in the criteria for the hackathon, we had said that you have to attend a minimum of certain number of quizzes. We have reduced the number of quizzes to 3 quizzes now. So, provided you guys have attended 3 quizzes, you will all be eligible for the hackathon. And yeah, like Joel said, all the best, and feel free to message or call either one of us regarding any of your doubts.